Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings, citizens all over the world. In this video here, the first thing I'm going to say to you is that I pray with all my heart and soul that you'll take the time to listen to this video and you'll pass it on to every person that you know, every loved one. But in saying that, I also have to say this. I know for a fact that only a genuine human being, a genuine, loving, compassionate person will take the time to listen to this and will care enough, because most people won't. Most people have no patience, and patience is a virtue. And that's the one thing that's being abolished across the world. Everybody's in fast track into nowhere. No one's got enough hours in the day. And that's exactly what the problem is across the world. The very thing that disturbs people the most is what's happening to everybody all over the world. No patience, no wisdom, no experience, no knowledge. Most people are just like robots or too busy entertaining themselves because they're no longer human. It's declared we're in post-human stage for a reason. And that we found the last human beings on earth just in a nick of time. I want you to consider this for a moment. I'd like you to really consider something. If we found the last human beings born on earth in 1960, and there's no more left, wouldn't it be an idea to find out what exactly they're talking about? Wouldn't it be a good idea to find out exactly what these people are talking about? The last human beings born on earth in 1960? Instead of focusing on everything else that's going on in this world, why don't you take the time to understand the last human beings born on earth in 1960 and who they are and why? Why aren't we human anymore? Why is there only a handful left on earth and we don't even care? We're not even in the least bit interested. Ask yourself that question. This is the most crucial subject in the world. Reported by the top scientists and physiologists in the world. And every person in the world avoids it completely. Just think about it for a moment. I know most of you's going to drop out like lightning because everybody does. If I don't come here with some flabbergasting excitement that puts you on the edge of the seat, the chance of you running away is massive. That's the way people respond to nearly everything. It's the way people are today. They have no patience. They'd rather entertain themselves with something else that's exciting. Even most of the people that follow me are no different. And I'll make that clear. Most of the people that come here to watch me are no different. They run away like lightning halfway through a video because they couldn't be bothered. They really couldn't be bothered. Most people couldn't be bothered in anything except for entertaining themselves and living in their own little bubble. We are so disconnected from our abilities that we don't even care anymore. We don't even care. The care factor's gone. The loyalty's gone. The respect is gone. The morals, the empathy. Every single tool that we have organically is gone. The only thing we can do is fact check Google ourselves with a high IQ and go into a slavery system and entertain ourselves and distract ourselves with nothing but materialistic things and ego. Massive ego spreading like a virus and affecting each and every one of us. Inverted tools, they're called, totally inverted. And we're so inverted compared to the last human beings born on earth that we have no idea. Now, I'm going to go deep on this for a reason. for a very specific reason, and you need to have patience because patience is a virtue. If you don't have any time for humanity and for this planet, then by all means leave. Let me tell you something right now. In 5 minutes, my number's already dropped in half. Just to give you an idea of what people are like that reckons they're truth fighters and that stands here to support us, trust me, 80% of people that follow me are just robots. They're just robots. They're not human. Don't think for 1 minute they're human. There's less humans in this world than you can even begin to understand. That really cares. That has a genuine care factor. When you get told the most important subjects in the whole world and you avoid them the most, you're not human anymore. You're just simply not human and you have no care factor. And I just want everyone to know that. I want you to know that so you can do something about it. But most people won't. Most people go into brain-locked denial beyond the point of return. And these are facts. Bruce Lee is the last of his kind. He's the last of his kind. Those kind of people have gone into extinction. Mental telepathy and ESP type people are practically in full extinction. 45 years ago, there was thousands of them. We didn't even have social media back then. And we didn't even have half the TV channels we have today. Yet there was thousands of them. Documentaries are made constantly on TV, on show, in live shows everywhere, circuses. All those kind of people are gone with all those abilities. 45 years ago, there was thousands of people who knew their previous lives and were not stuck in a reincarnation trap. And when do you think about that for a moment? This is written in the Bible as well, but most people who read the Bible don't believe in it neither. Yet it's written in the Bible. 99.9% of people believe in the Bible don't believe in reincarnation, yet it's written in the Bible. So it shows you how confused people are. There's evidence, and plenty of evidence all over the world about people not being stuck in a reincarnation trap, knowing their previous lives. And when they know their previous lives, they bring their tools from the previous life into this world. Bill Gates did exactly the same thing. He had no education, he's got no diplomacy, no nothing, and the most powerful man in the world by 24. The richest man in the world by 24. Without an education, illiterate, and couldn't even read and write. These are facts. He uses his progenitor genes and was not stuck in a reincarnation trap. The Freemasons used those tools. It's the biggest kept secret in the world. So there's only a handful of them left. And the last human beings born on Earth in 1960 is in the outback of Australia, completely 100% off the grid. They're 160, 170 years old. They have no mental disorders, no gene defects, no blood clots, no myocarditis, no heart attacks, no cancer, no mental disorders, no confusion, no frustration, no delusion, no paranoia whatsoever. Absolutely zero. Their immunity system is 27 times more powerful than ours. Their immunity system is 27 times more powerful than ours. In a DNA study done, every person in Western civilization, their body cells go in corruption, corrosion, collusion, and negativity. Their DNA, their body cells work together perfectly with a light around them, the sixth sense, in perfect condition. When we discovered this in a DNA test, it was the DNA test that led to all these discoveries that I'm going into. A DNA test. A DNA test is the most comprehensive test in the world. We now know that every Western civilization has 7,000 defective genes in their DNA. Some far worse than others, but every person has 7,000 defective genes. The chemicals and molecules that's in their genes and in their bloodstreams causes pollution, and their body cells undergo corruption, coercion, collusion in every study done in the world. 93% of people die from stress-related diseases because their body cells can corruption, coercion, collusion. From mental disorders, gene defects, cancer defects, heart attacks, blood clots, myocarditis, every single one of them the same reason. But these people don't have that problem. These people do not have that problem. So I'm going to go into some details about these people that we found that are the last human beings born on Earth in 1960, so that you understand what our premoral state is and why we're in the post-human stage and no longer human, because we're nothing like them. We're not even remotely close. We have a sophisticated high IQ that makes us good at what we do, but in fact not intelligent, because it's 5 senses on negative fields that makes our body cells go in corruption, coercion, collusion. We think psychologically 95 to 99% of the time. They think instinctively 99% of the time. So we're completely inverted compared to them. They are known as the most positive human beings on Earth, and we are known as the most negative. And we spread the negativity like a virus with their egotistical, self-centered behavior. We are a mental creature. They are an instinctive creature. They also have the tools of the reincarnation trap. 250 years ago, when we found Australia, they shot some of the Aboriginals more than 8 different times, and they kept resurrecting. There are 5 books written about this. One guy was shot in the chest 9 times and still resurrected. So they knew how to resurrect better than any other human being on Earth ever did. That we've got with absolute rock solid evidence, and then suppressed from us. We thought they were demonic because they also had a universal language through the atmosphere where they could project their thoughts into your mind. You know, when you think critically and you've got a voice in your mind that you always argue with, they became that voice. And they told the English people to get off their land in English, and they could not speak English, so they convey feelings to thoughts through the atmosphere, like mental telepathy. Now, we thought they were demonic because we're completely inverted and mental. So we killed them for that reason. Western civilization's always been mental. And some of these people, it's always been instinctive. When you go into human history, you only have to go back 45 years ago and you understand something about life. 45 years ago, when you saw a person reborn, a person reborn is a person who crosses over. It's called Hebrew. Hebrew means crossover. Crossover is when a person breaks free from amnesia and discovers who they are. To be reborn is when you discover your progenitor genes in your ancestry tools that goes back instinctively. Now, white man today doesn't even know what reborn is. He thinks he does, he's born again, but he has no comprehension of the idea. You literally die as a psychological person and reborn as a totally instinctive person that only uses their intuition. And then the person psychologically dies and break free from amnesia, and they discover something completely different about life, how wrong they were. A person is reborn, okay, if you really study this, or if you were any kind of person with any great wisdom and knowledge, you'd realize many people were being reborn and broke across through amnesia and discovered something different about life that altered them so much that most people have no idea today. Do not understand that altercation. Today, the only people we see do that is people with near-death or death experience. And it's only a few. It's very, very few. But the only people that alters like this are people who has a near-death or death experience. Nobody else seems to understand what reborn is. And we think that those people are speaking shit and are crazy. That's how mental we become in the last 40 years alone. We discredit them and we don't even care about them anymore. Back in the old days, just 45 years ago, we'd envy those people. Now it's the opposite. We don't care. We're not even interested. We're so inverted in the last 40 years, it's incredible. I mean, for anybody to even think they're remotely close to what a human being was 45 years ago, that alone shows how mental they are. That alone shows how disrespectful and how mental they are towards the experience, wisdom, and knowledge, and towards the elders. The Millennium Age is so disrespectful towards the elders, we've never seen anything like it in human history. Every single one of them puts them on a pedestal, think they know something better. And this kind of behavior is what's limited us and what's destroyed our DNA so much and makes our body start going corruption, curse, collision. That's why mental disorders and DNA defects and cancer, heart attacks, blackmacotis, myocarditis was only at 2% in 1960 and now 54% by 2019 and declared to be accelerating 7 times faster, and that was confirmed 3 months ago. The reason for this is the whole Millennium Age, the way they behave. You see, what the difference is here is people used to just die in their sleep. Okay, before 1960, people were happy all the way through their life, lived to be a lot older and a lot happier every single day, no stress, no anxiety, and had, just used to pass away naturally in their sleep. Today, it's recorded that only 0.05% of people in the world dies this way. 93% die from stress-related diseases from every one of these things. 6.95 people die from murder and accidents. 0.05 dies peacefully. 120 years ago, everybody died peacefully unless they were murdered or in an accident. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? People are controlled by fear so much, they live to be a lot shorter today and told they live to be a lot longer at the same time, but it's a lie. It's a big fat lie. You go back 120 years ago, nearly everybody used to live to be 100, 120, and they manipulate every single thing through education and lie to you completely invertedly. And they keep you in a reincarnation trap by confusing you through education. So you can never discover who you are, never be reborn, and never understand that you're stuck in a reincarnation trap. No one believes in it. Well, that's why we have the likes of Bruce Lee that use ancestry tools. And that's what they usually say, because if they talk about the previous lives, people think they're crazy. People don't believe in it, and nor do they care. Couldn't give a shit. The whole world couldn't give a shit. The whole world's got no idea who they are, why they're here, what the meaning of life is, neither. They're all stuck in a reincarnation trap. And it's all designed this way for a reason. Why do you think we're stripped from our human abilities? Completely. Why do you think our body starts to go corruption, and we think too much? And we always use our mind to read documents with, to entertain ourselves with, and we're completely controlled by the mindset we live in, and we don't know how to master our mind. Bruce Lee was a mastermind. Bill Gates is a mastermind. Jesus Christ was a mastermind by 24 and discovered how to use his tools. There are some masterminds in this world here today, but there's only a handful of them left. There's only a handful of them left. And I can speak from great experience, wisdom, and knowledge in this. I'm recorded by the CIA and the top NASA documents as one of the most powerful masterminds in the world, whether you choose to believe it or not. So therefore I can speak more about this and using my progeny genes more than any person in the world that wants to give you this information, because people don't want to share it with you, because you always think we're crazy when you are. We always have so many stones thrown at us. We just give up on you, man. We just walk away from people. We try to help people, but it's like talking to stone walls. People has these abilities, get off the grid and get away from the civilization, and has to suppress their conversations. We're controlled by you. You control us so much you have no idea. Your politicians control us, your authorities control us, and you use the same tools. You suppress us and oppress us as much as you can, instead of doing what you should be doing, learning from us. And because of that reason alone, you're completely inverted. You're totally inverted to use the opposite tools to what you're supposed to use. Why do you think you do that? Ask yourself that question. Why do you think your mind controls you all the time to do that? Why do you think it limits you so much and oppresses you so much and controls you so much you can never learn these tools? You can't learn these tools because of your mind. You're controlled by the mind. And when you're not in control of your mind, ask yourself, who's in control of your mind to make you do these decisions non-stop? Stop and think about it. You know, this is a gift of life, right, that would alter you so much. It's beyond your mindset, but you'll still walk away. The chance of you giving up is still 99%, no matter what, because something controls your mind, and it's not you. It's not you. You might think it is. You might want to think it is, but you're too scared to face the truth here. You're so terrified of the real truth that you're not in control of yourself. Somebody else is. By the decisions you make, by the way you think, by the way you judge, you're not in control of yourself. You know why? Because you can't do half the things I can. That's why. You can't even do remotely close to what I can do. I can use 100% of my mind. You can use 7 on average at any given time, maybe 9 if you're lucky. Einstein can only use 11. Think about that for a moment. According to the documents, I'm 7 times more intelligent than some of the most sophisticated people in the world. According to their documents, on an RSVP list. Research, succeed, victory with perfection. You know how many people's on that list? Do you know how many people's on that list? Try and guess. It's a smaller handful than you think. It's under 200 people. It's under 200 people out of 8 billion people that has that capacity. They're natural. They're organic. They think with their natural organic motor skills. Never been programmed, never been engineered. So trust me, the reason I say this is because my words are more powerful than any other words you will ever hear on this planet. And I want you to have faith in that and stop turning away like an idiot. I can teach you things that no one else can. But no one listens. So when you don't listen, you're controlled. When you don't care about yourself, you are in total control by the outside influence in your reality. Whether you like it or not, it's your decision. You give consent to this, and you'll never be able to do what I can and more if you don't listen. And you don't do nothing about it. It's exposed all over the world. You'll see it through Gaia and some of the top scholars in the world. So please pay attention. The Mayans in the Amazons, their soil. Their soil is the most potent soil in the world. Has the highest nutritional value, the most perfect soil in the world. As if it was put together by the top scientists in the world today. As if they sat down and worked out this, right, and took hundreds of years to work this out, and they created this soil. It's that potent. Where this soil is, the nutritional value is more than 10 times better than the nutritional value over the rest of the whole world, which means the rest of the world has lost 90% nutritional value compared to this. And that's the way I want you to see it. I want you to see how negative the Western civilization is and what it's done to nature, right, with their materialistic things and how disconnected they become. If you talk to 2 plates of water, and I've said this many times, but I'll repeat this again. If you take 2 plates of water and you talk absolutely beautiful to one and give it a lot of love, and talk horrible and evil to the other one, put them in the freezer overnight, pull them out in the morning and take a good look with your own 2 eyes. I want you to do this because this is one of the most crucial things in the world today that you need to wake up to. I want each and every person to seriously do this study and look with your own 2 eyes. Then I will not need to say another word because words don't mean shit. Action does. Right? What you hear, never believe nothing here, only half of what you see, but trust what you feel instinctively. And that's what's going to happen when you look at this in real life instead of thinking about it. A big difference between thinking and information and seeing it with your own 2 eyes in real life and getting that feeling instinctively. Because when you realize what the results are, you realize something else. If you go down to a DNA place, lifelong place, or Unifed, they can take a prick of your blood and put it under a microscope and show you that your body cells look exactly like the plate you talk very ugly to. And when you look at that plate, you will see that the round cells get coiled up in corruption, coercion, and collusion and are very dark. When you look at the other plate, you see the cells are beautiful working together and not coiled up in corruption, coercion, and collusion. And they're beautiful light around, like the sixth sense. The sixth sense, which is the most positive fields. Your DNA looks exactly the same. When they take a prick of your blood, right, and you see the results, they'll give you a molecule that's a conductor to light, power, energy from your body cells to receive information from the most positive fields, from an outside influence your reality, the same one that repairs your genes, DNA, and immunity when you're asleep. When you're asleep and you don't think with the mind, you're in positive fields and you repair your body. But when you're awake, you're in negative fields all day because you think too much. And you're only in the most positive fields 1 to 5% of the time when you should be in there 99% of the time, like the last human beings born on earth. Like the last human beings born on earth. They never lose their sixth sense. We've lost ours completely. In the whole Western civilization, we've lost our sixth sense, which is the most positive power and energy. We don't conduct to it anymore. We conduct to every single thing negative. No matter what we do, no matter what we entertain ourselves with, it's all negative non-stop. And then we live in a massive delusion to think we're happy. But then we suffer stress, fear, anxiety, confusion, frustration, delusion, paranoia, and we take drugs to numb ourselves, or we go off to entertain ourselves to try and find happiness. But when 98% of the Western civilization takes one kind of happy pill or an illicit drug or something like this with that conductor, it proves that 98% of the whole Western civilization cannot cope without one of these drugs to conduct with that has the conductor in it. So drugs become a truth serum today. Record as a truth serum because we're not living in the truth when we're not on the drugs, because we can't cope. Everybody in the world takes some kind of supplement in many drug delivery systems, and a lot of those drug delivery systems, which is a conductor, is also in iron, magnesium, zinc, vitamin C, D, B12, and many other drug delivery systems. So every person in the Western civilization in the world is on one of these molecules that has a conductor to conduct with in order to cope in life, because they cannot cope without this drug delivery system. Only a handful of people in the world can. So we become so negative in this world that we need to take one of these supplements from the lack of molecules in our body cells So therefore we have 7,000 defective genes. Nobody wants to face this because people don't even care anymore and give up. They give up on themselves. They don't know how to love themselves anymore. 45 years ago, we had clock winders, spoon benders, where they could look in the spoon and it just bend over right in front of your face. Okay, we had many people like this. Today, we can't find one. They're gone. When you understand this, when we go back into history, we used to pray to our water and food, and the nutritional value all over the world was like it was in the Amazons. So as we go on, we become more egotistical and we don't even talk to water anymore. And water is 75% of our body. Our DNA is 93% water, and it has a personality that we're disconnected from. If we take 10 orange trees, if we get a lot of love with a lot of positive sixth sense, with every tool, the tools are loyalty, honor, respect, moral, mirrors, inspiration, and encouragement. When we apply those tools, they call righteousness, to 2 orange trees, maximum capacity, those 2 orange trees will develop 10 times more fruit with 10 times more nutritional value. This has just been proven in a study done. This has just been proven, rock solid study done by the top bowlers and scientists in the world. That we can give so much positivity to those orange trees that they will produce 10 times more fruit with 10 times more nutritional value. We're going into phantom because it's the opposite. We lost 90% nutritional value and we lost 90% of our fruit in every living thing in the world because we don't care. We only do things for marketing strategy. It wasn't like that 200 years ago before we took people off the land to bring them into this Western civilization to be robots in a marketing strategy, to go into slavery and go into a reincarnation trap. When we go back 200 years ago, everybody knew how to use the genetic genes. They knew at a certain time they would pass the test and go to heaven or hell. But they always knew they'd never die. Today, everyone believes they're going to die. Let me tell you something. Why do you think there's only up to 390 million people 700 years ago? Today, there's 8 billion. Why do you think that's so? The population itself represents the fact that people's not being reborn and stuck in a reincarnation trap. The population growth alone, when you consider we were 200 million people, 250 million people across the planet for more than 1,400 years, and then all of a sudden exploded as we come into the timeline of deception for 700 years. As certain people started to take over the planet that knew what they were doing, that's been trying many times. In the days of Babylon, the pharaohs in Egypt, the Persians, the Greeks, the Roman days, they always failed, but now they got us. Now they got us in the reincarnation trap. Right? The inverted people, the icons, the ones that's always working with the pyramid structure, and everybody wants to get to the top. Right? Everybody wants to get to the top, but they're all in the slavery system at the bottom and thinking there's something special at the bottom and controlled by a system with multiple chains wrapped around them to strip them from all their abilities. It was the greatest deception ever created in 700 years. But you see, sex, drugs, and rock and roll also creates more negative creatures that are totally inverted, that are psychologically mental and have no sixth sense whatsoever, recorded on documents all over the world. So we can say they have different forefathers because they follow their forefathers' footsteps in their DNA. No matter what comes out of their mouth, no matter what they say they believe in, their action speaks loud in words and shows who they really are as a human, compassionate creature, as a genuine moral creature, one who can think instinctively with their intuition, not one that thinks mentally. That's the first signs. The ones that's got to use their mental abilities with their high IQ to justify what they believe in psyop programs. They follow their forefathers' footsteps, and believe me, they're going to get their wish. They're stuck in a reincarnation trap. Nobody's reborn. No one's broken free from amnesia. Only a handful of people have. They can use those abilities to think outside the mind and master the mind and unravel everything because they become mentalists. When you're reborn, you automatically become a mentalist with all those powers. And people laugh at you. People laugh at you and think you're crazy when in fact they are. When you break free from amnesia, you know that. And when you try and explain these things to people today, they're mental. You can't even help people anymore. No matter how much you want to help them, it's impossible to help people. It's become impossible. 45 years ago, plenty of people were reborn and knew that. Today, people are so polarized into this hypnotized state, they all have amnesia and don't even know why they're here, what the meaning of life is. Have absolutely no idea. They think they're just here to entertain themselves, go to work, make money and entertain themselves. That's all they're here for. On a marketing strategy, consume too much and consume too much information and then put themselves on a pedestal and think there's something special on social media platform where they do nothing for humanity and they do nothing for nature whatsoever. They're completely disconnected and think there's something special with egotistical behavior. Far left, far right. Argue, debate, debunk, divide. Everybody knows everything. Everyone's so intelligent with a high IQ, with more information and more critical thinking. They are the inverted. They are the ones with the most damaged DNA and take drugs to numb themselves and lie about it at the same time. It's all in documents, man. Backed up with evidence, rock solid. Most of the platform people that you follow, they suffer and take drugs to numb themselves and can't cope. Every one of them. You can see it in a DNA test alone. What they talk about and what they educate you with is information, information, information. And they take drugs to be in calm, to be in harmony, and also to be very confrontational and very egotistical. And it's a fact. But none of them can repair their genes down the immune system and think outside the mind and master the mind. They're mastered by the mind. There's only a handful of human beings left on Earth. And we can see that in a DNA test. Some can levitate stones. Some can talk to neighbor and communicate with nature in ways that we have no comprehension of because they're connected. And that's how the Amazonians ended up with the most powerful soil and the highest nutritional value in the world because they communicate with nature the most. Same in the outback of Australia. There's a guy in the outback of Australia who can go to the driest place in the outback and he does a rain dance, and within a couple of hours he will fill up dams, enough water to run a mine for the next 3 years. He's paid by the mines. He's paid by the mines to come out and create water where it's bone dry. Bone dry. He can do it. He gets paid big money for it. He can do it. There's a guy out there, he can walk up to a heap of trees, and when he walks past the trees, every tree will bend right down. Every branch will follow him as he walks past. They totally communicate with him. He has full communication. He knows our history. He knows his history for 70,000 years. Through his progenitor genes, no books, no education. They know more about their history than what we do by books. And they're right smack bang on the money. A massive investigation went into this for 6 years. All the information that come from this person, we have all the evidence all over all to back up. They were trying to tell us this for 250 years. We didn't listen to them. And we certainly don't listen to them now neither. They knew everything about every catalysm event. The great flood of Noah, they were all saved. They knew about the flood and they were all saved, and they did not go through the flood. I want you to understand that. We now know, with DNA evidence and solid evidence all over the world, they originally came from Africa after Atlantis, went across the Himalayas, and then told to go to Australia when they walked down there, right? They were told to go to the Promised Land, and they were protected there. They were protected there. And our civilization began again from the Australian Aboriginals, across to Easter Island, across to the Mayans. And the Mayans bloodline is the oldest bloodline in the world that goes back to the Australian Aboriginals. And the Australian Aboriginals has an African bloodline, but not the Africans that are there today. Every person's bloodline goes back to the Australian Aboriginals, which originally come from Africa, from the Atlantis days. Their soils in certain places and what they can do is more advanced than the Mayans. More advanced than the Mayans. We found a city buried in the desert on the outback of Australia that's thousands of years old that had more than 12 million people in it, just like the Mayans. There are massive cities buried under the sand. I want you to be aware of that. The information that's being held from you is more than you think. Pine Gap Area 51, Australia, is where the quantum computer is, where the highest frequencies in the world are, the most positive fields on Earth. Recorded by National Geography, the most spectacular atmosphere on Earth. Where they run 200 frequencies from, every radio wave, every telephone wave. From Pine Gap Area 51, Australia, every satellite wave. This is the headquarters for NSA and the CIA. Google it. Take a good look, Pine Gap. Headquarters for NCA, right? The most important place for the NCI, the NSA and CIA. And there's a reason for that. It's being suppressed from you, so dramatic you have no idea. What we call the divine light, the Holy Spirit, is called the Min Min light in Australia. And it's the last place on earth where they exist. Our ancestors, the angels that watch over us, the watchers they call them. That's what they're called in the Bible, the watchers. The Min Min light, they have a relationship with it. And only a person that has such a relationship can even talk about this. I have such a relationship with the Min Min light, the divine light. Before they even come to you, you can feel it. And every person will tell you the same thing. There are videos on YouTube where you see a white person that has a relationship and he'll explain exactly the same thing I'm about to tell you. And if you really listen to a lot of videos, you will hear Aboriginals tell you exactly the same thing, word for word. Exactly the same thing that I'm about to tell you. Before they come, you get this feeling like the atmosphere changes and all of a sudden you have pins and needles all over your body. Your gut feeling, survival mode, known as a chakra, is on fire with the shiver in your spine. That's Jacob's ladder. You get this shiver in the most beautiful feeling, like you're tickling all over. And you're alert, alive, awake and aware, and you're in awe. Like you're in a natural high, higher than you've ever been before in your life. And you're tingling all over your body. You're tingling in ways you never have. You get high as a kite naturally and organically. And you're like, wow, this is unbelievable. And the best way to describe this is written in the Bible. The glory of love pours all over you. The glory of love pours all over you. You feel the atmosphere. You feel the positivity. And it's like nothing you've ever felt before in your life. What you feel is you feel loyalty, honor, respect, moral, morals, inspiration, and encouragement. That's what you feel. And then the light comes to you, the orb of light. Then it comes to you. And you have a relationship. You have a powerful, powerful relationship. And it's the only way to describe this. You have a relationship with the divine light, the Holy Spirit. The same one that came to see Jesus, the same one that came to see the three kings, the same one that came to Moses, the same one that came to Enoch. Enoch walked with the Min lights for 350 years. The angels, the watchers that watch over us. Today they walk with the Australian Aboriginals to this very day, no differently. We are inverted. White man crazy, white man God's crazy. We're not human. We're not spiritual. Because if you were, they'd come and see you. Every mastermind in this world, right? Every one of them talks about the Holy Spirit coming to them with the power. Even Bruce Lee. Even Bruce Lee, right? He uses different formats. He's a Shulam mastermind. He knows about the 8 tools of righteousness. And he knows he has a God-given power to respond 7 times faster than thinking. Only a mastermind knows this. Only a mastermind knows that the light comes to us. Right? And we're chosen that moment. Winoff went through exactly the same experience. Okay? Exactly the same experience where the light come to him. But when you talk to people about the light, people throw stones at you. So often people just say they were chosen and they had a mythological event. You can't open up these discussions with people today. People were envious years ago, but today people just throw stones at you and don't give a shit and belittle you and break you down as much as they can. They'd rather use Baal's tools. They'd rather be evil, right? Even though they think they're good sometimes, they're not, because they turn a blind eye. They're no different. They're weak, spineless cowards all over the world that can't use their spine. And when they can't use their spine, they'll never have their sixth sense intact. Because your spine is the neuro link to the tree of life inside you that works and activates all these tools with your natural organic motor skills. And if you think you can use them, go and get a DNA test. Talk to 2 plates of water. And you'll know how disconnected you really are when you lie to yourself non-stop. When's the last time you talked to the water you consume? When's the last time you prayed to it with positivity so the positivity can go into your DNA and your body cells can work together and repair your genes? When's the last time you've done that? Exactly my point. You couldn't give a shit because you don't have enough hours in the day. You're too much in a hurry. When's the last time you consumed the correct food and prayed to that? Today you consume fast foods, chemicals and products, preservatives. Most of the things you eat are processed, and that's chemicals in them. When's the last time you grew your own food and cooked your own food correctly and prayed to it so that you can give yourself the maximum capacity to conduct with? The right molecules, the right minerals. When's the last time you've done that? You think you love yourself and you can teach other people how to love one another? Is that what you believe with the tools that you use? And I'm just asking a simple question. When you can't even look after yourself and your 5 senses are on fire with corruption, coercion, collusion, and your 6 senses is not activated in such a way that your immune system's 27 times more powerful than anyone else's, and you can repair your genes down the immune system, when you can't love yourself, how do you expect to be someone who can love and save the world? I want to ask you that very simple question. You're not human anymore, and we can see that in a DNA test alone. Now, I made very specific videos the other day about how to repair your genes down the immune system, and 99% of people don't even listen because they don't care about themselves. They pretend they do, but they're liars all over the world. No one is restoring back to their primal state. Nobody is resurrecting back in their primal state because nobody cares. 93% of people in the Western civilization is declared to be beyond the point of return because of this fact. And if you think you're not affected by this, you're brain dead stupid, because of course you are. And it's what you don't understand. You come to the worst conclusion non-stop by the way you think and judge instead of seeing the positivity. You're always in the negativity. You never see the positivity. And you always think it's impossible and you can't do it. You can do what I can. You can do what I can and more. It's so easy, you've got no idea. The problem is you don't love yourself. And you don't even know how to. Nor does anybody else around you. So who's going to teach you? Nobody. Not with real love. Not with the real tools, because no one has that experience, wisdom, and knowledge. So how can they teach you? How can any person in the world teach you if they don't have the experience, wisdom, and knowledge to speak from? Excuse me. That's what you have to understand. If people don't have the experience, wisdom, and knowledge to do it, how can they teach you? With information. You can listen to Dr. Bruce Lipton, who teaches you all these things. You can listen to Joe Dispenza or Jeremy Griffiths, the top bowlers in the whole world. But can they teach you? All they can give you is information with DNA studies done and explaining all these things to you. But can they teach you? No one can get through your thick skull because your skull's controlled by someone else. And you can't make that decision to think outside the mind yourself. And that's what the problem is. Right there, you're in brain lock denial and you don't think you've got nothing to gain when you've got more to gain than what you understand. To break free from amnesia is to discover who you really are. Why are you afraid of discovering who you are? Tell me, why are you so afraid to discover who you really are? Why would you rather hide behind an amnesia and never find that out? And then get stuck in a reincarnation trap, because this time you're going to wish you were dead for 1,000 years. And you don't even know that because you don't believe in it. And if you don't believe in it, you're screwed. You're screwed for 1,000 years, whether you choose to believe it or not. You've been stuck in a reincarnation trap for thousands of years. That's why there's 8 billion people on the planet today, because no one's reborn. No one's reborn. No one's broken free from amnesia. Everybody lives in a bubble in their own truth in some comfort zone with nothing but psycho programs and new belief systems. That's been designed reverse psychology deliberately for this moment. Whether you choose to believe it or not, I don't care. I don't care what you do when you don't care. I'm not going to care about people who don't care about themselves and don't even know how to. I try my best every day, but do you know how many people throw stones at me and say, I'm stupid, I'm this and I'm that? Do you have any idea? I can tell you right now, you'd be amazed at how many are so brain dead without even realizing it and controlled by the devil. The voice in your mind, soul, and time for extinction that controls you. Declared in documents all over the world. The last human beings born on earth are the only ones that can save humanity. And we just found them in the nick of time to think instinctively and not to think psychologically and mentally, because it's inverted. With all inverted tools, you're so disconnected from life, nature, and the things you're in harmony with, you're disconnected from yourself. Your body cells in corruption, coercion, collusion. You don't even talk to your water, and it has a personality. That's the first thing you discover. Water has a personality. So it's the voice in your mind that controls you all the time. But you don't have a relationship with water. You don't have a relationship with nature and the things you're in harmony with. And you certainly don't have a relationship with the Father. I can tell you that. With the outside influence in your reality. Don't sit there and put yourself in a bubble in some pedestal and then lie to everyone else and deceive them and distract them when you don't have those tools. Believing and knowing is two different things. You're not reborn. You haven't crossed over. And if you can't talk about being reborn and breaking free from amnesia and discovering the tools that you have, that's coded in your DNA, and start using those tools, then you're a liar. Then you teach misinformation and pretend that you're something special and distract people, but you can't use those tools. If I'm a mastermind, recorded on documents as one of the most biggest powerful masterminds in the world by the biggest think tank, don't you think you should pay attention to what I'm saying to you? When I can do things you can't? I've been declared dead 3 times. I've got miracles in Oswald that you can't even do. Not even remotely close can you do what I can do. Not even remotely close. Yet I can teach you about the reincarnation trap and breaking free from amnesia and discovering what it's like on the other end of the tunnel. Once you stick your head through the light at the end of the tunnel, you realize you had amnesia and you look back in the tunnel and think, my God, everybody else has amnesia too. And they don't know any better. How many people can tell you about that experience of knowing what the resurrection is and breaking free from amnesia and sticking their head through the end of the tunnel and realizing it's the beginning, not the end, and go through the death experience and realize we don't die. You go into another dimension where everything is perfect, no pain, stress, and fear, where time stands still and life preserves. And then you come back here, right? You come back here and realize you were controlled by something else in your mind, but that's not who you are, and that person dies. And then you realize who you are spiritually and the God-given gift you come into this world with, and then you have the power. Then you have the power when your principality's in the right place. The power to change the circumstances. The power to communicate with nature. The power to communicate with nature in such a way that the nutritional value becomes 10 times more powerful. The power to change your body cells, your DNA through water by having a relationship with water and having a relationship with the outside influence in your reality. With the tools of righteousness, and then have the light come to you and a relationship with the Holy Spirit and the divine light. How many people can speak about this in honest God truth? Because I can, and I can teach you, and I do that here every day, and believe me, people are discovering this. But you have to understand, do not limit yourself, because you have the possibility to change the whole world with that power. We're here to teach mankind how to use their natural organic motor skills and to change the circumstances around here. And it means that every one of you here following me, every single one of you need to practice these tools correctly, because we need to change the circumstances and we need to bring heaven to earth. We need to change the atmosphere and use the outside influence in our reality that gives us the power to do this. In our primal state, to have the God-given gift we come into this world with, that's been stripped from us. On reverse psychology by the icons in this world that are totally inverted. We call them the Netherlands. We call them the psychological mental, right? That's what we call every atheist in the world, the psychological mental, right, that are different than us, because they have different forefathers. And they designed us like this into a marketing strategy to consume too much and think too much for the harvest, to go into a reincarnation trap and stuck there for 1,000 years and wish we were dead. But some of us are here to break you free from that. Right? That's what Revelation's all about. That's what the salvation's all about. You're in post-human states, and only the elect and the witness will teach you the resurrection of humanity. And who do you think they are? They are the masterminds in this world that knows how to use those tools. No one else. You know, that stands to basic common sense if you've got any. But perhaps you don't have any anymore. Perhaps you'd rather follow the scientists and the professors and all the people that entertain you all over the world that can't use these tools or even talk about it. Because I can explain everything to you about cellular study research, about Jeremy Givers, the #1 biologist in the world today, who wrote the book Freedom to Cure the Human Conditioning, that's going to save humanity, and the last human beings born on earth. That is me. I was the one who brought this to humanity in 2008. Don't you realize that? Or don't you listen? Are you too busy judging mentally? Because I know 90% of you really are stuck in that mindset that you live in. But for God's sake, listen to what I'm saying to you. I was designed for this moment, for this very reason, and I'm the only person out of all the last human beings born on earth that can explain this with this kind of knowledge. I was designed for this into the Western civilization for a reason. Right? And believe me, I've been working alongside of these people on ground level, and I know more than 99% of the whole human population does, whether they believe it or not. I can teach you how to use these tools like no other man on earth can. And that's what's important to you. That's what's important to you. I come here in a Father's figure, and the Father designed me for this very reason, to save your ass. You're not in your primal state. You know, the King of all kings, the Father, the outside influence, the angels, the watchers, whatever you want to call it, designed me for this moment to teach you how to go back to primal state, how to be in harmony, and live by the vineyard rule equally. And the kingdom is our church, not the church. The church is controlled by Baal. And you better believe it. You better believe it. It's been the greatest deception ever created in human history to sidetrack you from what the truth is. To sidetrack you and detain you with every single thing that you love so much in this world today by the Babylonian beast that took over the whole world for the last 700 years with sex, drugs, and rock and rolls and entertainment. And that's what you're attached to the most. And disconnected from life, nature, and the things you know me with. Disconnected from each other as well. 100 years ago, everybody had faith in everybody. 45 years ago, we had 100 friends we had faith in. Now you're lucky if you had 2. You don't even talk to your neighbours. You don't even love your enemies anymore. You wouldn't even know how to love your neighbours. You don't even love your family, loved ones, and friends. You conquer and divide with them as well, with your egotistical, self-centered behaviour. And what do you really care? That's a good question, isn't it? Only a genuine human being is going to raise to the occasion. Only a genuine person, right, coded in their DNA with that bloodline in the Father's image is going to raise to the occasion and resurrect back in their primal state and care enough to do that and have enough compassion in their heart to do that, right, and understand how deceived they are and how screwed up in the mind they are and what they've got to gain here by being in that image, by being reborn, by resurrecting, by breaking free from amnesia and not stuck in a reincarnation trap. And believe me, those that discover that has the greatest liberation of freedom that most other people have no comprehension of. When they have that power and the glory of love pours all over you, believe me, you'll never go back. Once you break free from amnesia, you will never go back ever again. You realise it's the greatest time to be alive and you'll never have a death experience. And you go into a time where time stands still and life preserves. No more pain, no more stress, no more fear. And that's freedom. The truth will set you free.